hope everyone can hear me all right. Leave a comment if you're here, say hi. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Kaylin, and if you know me from camp, you might know me as Lumos. So today for our live, we are going to be talking a little bit about Leave No Trace, which is an important part of camping and making sure that we're keeping our outdoors as pristine and as enjoyable as possible so that everyone can enjoy it. Because I know as Girl Scouts, we love to be out in the outdoors as much as we can. So Leave No Trace is a way for us to make sure that we are being responsible and that we are taking care of those outdoor spaces that we love. We are, there we go. So with Leave No Trace, these are important things to keep in mind. There are 7 different principles that they're based on, which are guidelines and things to keep in mind, especially now that it's starting to get warmer and as campgrounds and our state parks are starting to open, you might be wanting to get outside, maybe work on some of your hiking badges. So for our number 1 is to plan ahead and prepare. As Girl Scouts, we know a lot about preparing, as that is our motto. So this is a lot to do with making sure that you know the regulations, any special concerns for where you're going to be at, especially if you're going to an area you don't know as well, keeping track of if maybe they have a ban on fires at that moment, things like that, as well as preparing for any extreme weather that you might get. As we know, here in Illinois, the weather does change a lot. So being prepared for any of those instances can help from you doing things or being involved in having to buy extra things that you might not need. It's also being prepared and having things like your reusable water bottle, which is an important thing. Plastic takes a really long time to break down. So something we want to make sure we are doing as much as we can is using reusable resources, whether that's your water bottle, bringing your mess kit with you when you go camping, something that you can rewash, things like that. A big part of being prepared as well is making sure you bring a map, compass, GPS, something that you can use to keep track of where you are while you're hiking. This eliminates the use of needing to use marking paint or flagging along your trail. That way you're not leaving marks to show where you've been. Principle number 2 is to make sure you're on the second one. Is to travel and camp on durable surfaces. So a durable surface is anything that's like a maintained trail, a designated campsite, as well as things like rock and gravel and dry grasses, and in the winter, snow, if you want to work on your winter adventure, snow adventure badges, which are a lot of fun. It is also making sure that we're keeping in mind where we're at. If you're setting up a camp, you don't want to be too close to the water. You don't want to be right next to the stream because you're more likely to pollute it that way. And when you are walking, you want to walk down the middle of the trail. The reason you want to do this is when you walk along those sides, you're going to wear down the plants. That's the reason we want to be on durable surfaces. Sometimes when we walk on plants, they don't have the ability to bounce back from that. So by walking in the middle of the trail, even if it's muddy or wet, we're able to help avoid spreading that further out. Something you hear a lot is that good campsites are found and not made. We want to be using designated campsites as much as possible. If you are out backpacking, finding ones that have already been established and using those can prevent us from creating new ones and wearing down other areas. If you have a favorite place that you love to camp, be sure to comment that. Always look to learn of new places, and I'm sure other Girl Scouts I'd love to hear about it as well. Our next principle is to dispose of waste properly. So this is where you want to pack in and pack out whenever you're spending time in the outdoors. This means before you leave, you're going to inspect your campsite, make sure your food preparation area, everywhere you're going, is clear of trash, that you're not leaving any food or spilled food, because that can mess with the animals in the area, and we don't want to be feeding them human food or for them to become reliant on getting food from campsites. It causes them to become more used to humans and can be much more dangerous for them if they start to rely on it. And not all food is good for animals, such as if you have a dog, they can't have chocolate, but animals don't always know what they can and can't eat. So we don't want to have things out there that the wildlife would not be natively eating anyway. And this is also where if you see any litter, you're going to want to pick it up. Making sure that we are helping leave a place better than we found it, as Girl Scouts do, and that way when we leave, there's still this great natural outdoor space that people can enjoy. Whenever possible, you want to use any toilet facilities they have. If you do have to create your own cat holes, you're going to want to make sure you're packing out your toilet paper and hygiene products as well. And when you wash your dishes, making sure, again, we're staying away from our streams and lakes. We don't want to be washing things into there, as well as making sure we use biodegradable soap. So something that's going to break down. Our next principle, make sure you can see it. It's a little bright out. We finally got rid of the rain around here. Is to leave what you find. And I know this one can be hard sometimes, especially when you see that pretty flower that you want to pick, or maybe a rock or a leaf that you want to commemorate that time that you spent on your trip or your hike. But we want to keep things as pristine as possible so that others can enjoy them as well. Another big reason to avoid taking any sort of native, like the plants or the flowers and things, is when you introduce plants to a different area that they weren't in originally before, they can become an invasive species. So a common one around here is garlic mustard. It's in a lot of yards. It's a very dangerous one if it can start spreading, because it can grow in full shade or full sun, and their roots actually produce a chemical that causes other plants to not grow around there. So when we're taking things from area to area, we run the risk of causing a very large impact on the areas we're visiting. With that, it's also good if you find any sort of artifacts, and if you're visiting any sort of cultural areas, that we want to be taking only pictures so that things are available for future visitors. And it's always good, you can take those pictures, take your pictures and your memories, but we want to leave the rest of the stuff that we find. So principle number 5 is minimize your campfire impacts. I love campfires. I know a lot of people do, but it's important that we're making them smartly. So when you need to build a fire, we're building them small, we're building them in designated fire circles, whether it's a fire ring, mound, somewhere where it's already been used. We also, when we were talking about the not moving things from different areas, if you are traveling to another place to go camping, you're going to want to buy your firewood locally. It can also be a way that things can get spread into different areas. When you are going to build your fire, something you are going to want to look for is what we call deadwood, which is going to be on the ground. You'll hear a nice snap. See, this one is able to break in half pretty easily. We don't want to be pulling things off the trees, and besides, just it's going to affect the the plants and stuff around here. We'd be harming them to pull it off. That wood isn't going to be good for your fires anyway, as you probably learned when you watched with Chloe building fires, that's called greenwood, and it's very smoky when you burn it. So if you don't want a bunch of smoke, make sure you are getting that dead wood, which is going to be found on the ground, and you're going to want to break it easily by hand. Once you're done with your fire, you're going to want to let it burn all the way down. You want to let it completely cool and then scatter your ashes. You don't want to plop them all in one place. Kind of the same thing where we're talking about walking on trails can wear down those plants. If you throw a bunch of ash in one place, it's going to make it so those plants can't grow there, and it's going to have an impact. So our next principle is to respect wildlife. It's always a treat whenever you're out in the wild if you get to see different ones. If you've been to any of our camps, you've probably seen a lot of deer. We have quite a few of them wandering. But we want to make sure that we are respecting wildlife by only looking at them from a distance. We don't want to follow them or approach them, and definitely never feed them. Like I said earlier, when you are setting up your campsite and cleaning up, that food can really affect the way they eat and can expose them to predators and other dangers. And a part of that is also making sure you are storing your food well. You don't want to make it so that they can get in. If you've ever been on a camping trip and had raccoons get in your food, you know how disappointing that is. So for your own sake and for the animals, make sure you are securing your food very well. This time of year, you will see often a lot of baby animals. A lot of people are finding like rabbit dens, things like that. Pretty much every case, you want to just leave them. Even if you don't see the mom around, if you are out in the outdoors, they just might not be nearby because you're there. So making sure that we are leaving the animals, that we're not messing with them, is very important. And then our final principle is blowing around in the wind. Be considerate of other visitors. Other people, we want to make sure that we're giving them their space and make sure they still have the same quality of experience that you do. So you want to make sure you're sharing space on the trail, you're not being too loud, because if you're being really loud, it makes it harder for others to be able to hear the wonderful sounds of nature. I don't know if you can hear right now, but I've got a bunch of birds around me. So if a lot of people are talking, you're not going to be able to hear those and you're going to be interrupting. Making sure you're setting up your campsites in a way that gives people space as well. Let's see if I have any comments. It's a little hard to read. It's a little bright out here. Hello to everyone. Some people from Springfield. It's great to see everyone. Sorry if I'm not responding to any. It is bright and it's a little hard to see my screen out here. So if I miss you, I'll try to go back and comment on it once I am inside again. But I am enjoying this wonderful weather now, and I hope you are too. Thanks for joining in today. If you have any questions about Leave No Trace, it's a big part of me and Girl Scout. We have a lot of our eco badges, things like that you want to look into, making sure that not only can we enjoy the outdoors, but we can make sure that everyone can and that we can for many years to come. We do have some exciting things coming up on this page. So Sarah and Audra are going to be continuing working on the Brownie and Junior badges, the Coding for Good and Gardener, so keep an eye out on this page for that, as well as our Trefoil pop-up shops on Thursdays. And then next Friday at noon, we'll be going live with Catnip to learn some camp crafts from Kiwanis. You'll also want to check out the rest of our Sparkle and Shine GSCI at home on our website, getyourgrowpower.org. There's a lot of fun activities, monthly patches, as well as a lot of badge work and some journeys that we are working on right now. So our citizen science This ones are currently being worked on, so you should check those out. They're available for all levels. And it's a great time to be able to do those. We're able to help our scientists as well as enjoy the outdoors with those. As well, towards the end of the month, we're going to be having a virtual camp out, so keep an eye out for those. And if you participate in any of our Girl Scouting at home, make sure to share with our hashtag GSCI Shines On. We love looking at all the different things that you do and being involved with that. One more. See, I have a new comment. So that is all for me today. I hope to see you on some more of our lives and have a great day.